We have been inspired by the Netflix series Bridgerton and the books of Jane Austen to do a series about the rules of etiquette in Regency England.
The subject of dating, known as courting or wooing, has been requested by the wonderful YouTube channel Sayystella. Link in the description.
A young lady of good breeding would never ever allow herself to be alone with a man. It was essential that she kept her reputation pristine so she would be a candidate for marriage.
However, the man was expected to have sown his wild oats and could have rather a reputation and still be considered a good match, especially if he was wealthy and well connected.
Members of the upper echelons of society, the ton, would descend upon London each year for the social season. This was an opportunity for well-to-do families to pick matches that they deemed suitable.
A débutante, from the French meaning female beginner, is a young woman of aristocratic or upper-class family background who has reached maturity and, as a new adult, comes out into society at a formal debut. Daphne Bridgerton makes her debut in society. As a woman of marriageable age from a wealthy family, she is expected to secure a worthy match.
This illustration from the Illustrated London News depicts debutantes being presented at court in 1860. In Bridgerton, we see Daphne gaining the favour of Her Majesty when she was presented to court as a debutante.
There was a lot of pressure to do well in the first social season. The fear of not getting enough proposals was real. If a woman didn't get a match in the season of her debut, her desirability would be on the decline instantly.
Once you are out in society and seen taking chaperoned walks with a gentleman, it is a given that things are official. This means there'll be an impending marriage proposal.
In Bridgerton, Daphne and the Duke decide to go on a ruse to catch a break from prying eyes. They pretend to be courting so that the Duke may dodge questions about marriage and Daphne may get better marriage options with her increased popularity.
A successful season could guarantee better options for other siblings too.
When Daphne makes her debut, she laments that her whole life has been reduced to this one moment, and that is meant to be taken very literally.
While women spent years learning to be accomplished in several arts, including music and embroidery, it was common for men to travel before presenting themselves in the marriage market.
Before a woman and a man could even converse, they needed an introduction by a mutual friend, as shown in this illustration from the 1895 edition of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, published in 1813. The novel opens with Jane Austen's famous ironic sentence, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife."
It's my favourite opening line
in
all books.
Good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. The most popular way to meet those of a similar social background was at one of the elegant balls held throughout the social season. If the woman refused to dance with any other man but him, she basically announced to the world that they were engaged, just like Daphne did when she was dancing with Simon in Bridgerton.
If she danced with him more than twice in one night, everyone assumed she was either engaged to him or she was fast, meaning forward. No proper young lady wanted that label. If he spent a lot of time with her to the point where people began to notice how much time they were together, public opinion placed them as engaged.
If he failed to make an offer of marriage, then people wondered whether it was him who was unsuitable or her.
At that point, their only option would be to marry or to live with tainted reputations. Depending on his status, his reputation would probably recover, while hers would most likely remain tarnished.
Other places a couple could meet would be at a dinner party, at the opera or the theatre, a soirée, which is an evening party or social gathering, or a musicale, which is a small musical gathering or concert.
If the man wished to get better acquainted with the lady he had met, He might send her flowers the next day, but never gifts or letters. Who makes up these rules, really?
I know, there's so many rules, isn't there?
Yeah. He would later pay a visit to the family during their at-home hours, where either her mother or another chaperone would be present.
A man could take a lady for a stroll in one of the walking parks, such as Hyde Park, as long as the chaperone was close at hand. He might even take her riding on horseback or in an open carriage. Open being the operative word, since riding in a closed carriage could ruin her reputation as quickly as being alone in a house with a man.
Courting could be short or could take place over a longer period of time.
This caricature, created in 1805, poked fun at the elaborate courtship conventions, much like Jane Austen did through characters like Mr. Collins in Pride and Prejudice.
This 1805 caricature by James Gilray, Harmony Before Matrimony, depicted a courting couple, whereby the young woman assumes that a proposal would soon be made. If you look closely, the artist ensures that the viewer understands that all is not what it seems.
By the 18th and 19th centuries, the idea of marrying for love was slowly becoming more popular. A man proposed to the woman of his choice. The first time most couples were alone was during the actual proposal. Engagement rings were not necessarily given as a symbol of the lady's acceptance.
A woman's power of refusal was her only control in the situation. Rarely did a woman refuse the proposal, except in the case of Elizabeth Bennet with both Mr. Darcy and Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins points out that Elizabeth is not likely to receive another marriage proposal if she refuses him. Occasionally, a woman would break the engagement, but it was frowned upon for a gentleman to break the engagement.
Parental approval of the engagement had to be obtained, particularly for the woman. A father could withhold a fortune from his daughter, whereas it was out of his power to prevent a son inheriting his estate.
Once a gentleman felt assured that a lady returned his affections, he would make an appointment with the girl's father and formally ask for her hand in marriage.
The gentleman's income would be scrutinised. Then they would draw up a prenuptial agreement called a marriage settlement. This contract defined the distribution of wealth and property within the marriage. It also declared what would happen to the wife and children if the husband met an early death.
With all that settled, the father would break the news to the girl and the wedding preparations would commence.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bridgerton Life, requested by the wonderful YouTube channel Sayystella. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. If you have a suggestion for a Regency topic, please let us know in the comments below. We may make a video about it and give you a shout out.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!